Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Uganda accuses Facebook of meddling after several accounts linked to President Yoweri Museveni's campaign are shut down, suspected as being inauthentic. This comes just days before the country's elections that have been marked by violent crackdowns on the opposition. Also, South Africa says that it's sourced 20 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines due to be delivered over the next 6 months. The country is struggling to get ahead of a rampant second wave. And a coalition of rebels continue to launch attacks in Central African Republic, clashes that mean goods have not been able to move in and out of the capital, and hundreds of truckers have been stranded on their routes. But first, Uganda's accused Facebook of meddling after the social media giant shut down several accounts linked to President Yoweri Museveni's campaign ahead of Thursday's election. The presidency's branded the move a sign of outside support for Museveni's biggest challenger, Bobi Wine. Facebook says it removed a network of accounts and pages that they suspect of being fake and spreading inaccurate information about the election and Wine. Museveni's ruled the country since 1986, and the run-up to Thursday's vote has featured violent targeting of Wine and his supporters, as well as a crackdown on freedom of the press. Michael O'Hagan joins us now with more from Kampala. Michael, so tell us more about why Facebook has taken this step.
Facebook says that it has taken down more than 100 networks of what it calls coordinated inauthentic behaviour since 2017. And this move against the pro-government Ugandan sites is just the latest. Facebook says that they are centred around a specific department of the Ministry of Information called the Government Citizens Interaction Centre, which they said were deliberately manipulating public debate by sharing posts on fake accounts, duplicate accounts, boosting posts in a dishonest way so that it looked as if they were more popular in groups than they in fact were. This pattern of behaviour had been going on for some time, and it had to move quickly before Thursday's presidential election.
Do you think Facebook's made the right move here?
It's certainly clear that the government of Uganda has been engaged in manipulation of the public debate. For example, in November, an account on another social media site that had previously been linked to military intelligence made false claims about foreign correspondents being CIA spies, putting those journalists in real danger. Those claims were amplified by serving military intelligence officers. And behaviour like that, specifically on Facebook, has been repeated over and over with bots repeating key messages that attacking the opposition or defending the government from attack.
But will the removal of these accounts have much of an impact on the campaign of either side in these final days ahead of Thursday's vote?
That seems unlikely. Many Ugandans don't have easy access to social media. In fact, there's a specific social media tax which makes it difficult for poor Ugandans, already some of the poorest people in the world, to access social media. And Facebook has not revealed exactly what led them to take this decision. They say they'll give more details in February, but of course that's after the election. What this move may well do, however, is galvanise opinion in the international community to say that they really have to face up to the fact that one of the darlings of international development aid recipients, the Ugandan government, is not being honest and is trying to manipulate public debate. It's not only doing that online, it's also doing that by strategically releasing prisoners, hundreds of people at a time, to try and galvanise some public support and goodwill ahead of the election. International donors will have to take a long, hard look at their relationships with the Ugandan government in future.
Thanks very much. Michael Hagen there for us in Kampala. Now, South Africa has sourced 20 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, which are due to be delivered over the first half of 2021. In a televised address on Monday, President Cyril Ramaphosa said that level 3 lockdown restrictions will stay in place as the country struggles to get ahead of a rampant second wave. The rise in cases has in part been affected by people returning from holiday travel. Ramaphosa's announced that 20 land borders will remain closed until mid-February. Many hospitals have already, though, been overwhelmed by the spike in infections. Laurent Berstecker has more.
To treat COVID-19 patients. The Steve Biko Hospital in Pretoria transformed its parking lot into a makeshift emergency ward over the weekend as South Africa grappled with a deadly second wave of coronavirus that's begun to overwhelm its health system.
Now they arrived minute by minute, hour by hour, simultaneously. And our capacity in terms of inside was overflow.
Last week, South African authorities reported daily increases of over 21,000 COVID-19 cases a day, a new peak for the pandemic-hit country. Several hospitals now say they're stretched to the limit and are having to choose which patients to treat. A surge that's come despite a series of restrictions imposed by South African authorities over the holidays.
A lot of what we are feeling now, what we are seeing, the impact, is a result of what happened before the introduction of level 3. In the run-up to Christmas, the admission numbers in our hospitals have doubled everywhere in the last 7 days.
South Africa has recorded over 1.2 million COVID-19 cases so far, more than any other country on the continent where infection rates have remained relatively low. The latest spike in cases is understood to be partly driven by a new variant of the virus, which experts say is more contagious and could be more resistant to vaccines.
Well, military patrols have been boosted in northeastern Nigeria following the killing of reportedly 13 soldiers by an ambush by extremist fighters. Heavy gunfire and rocket-propelled grenades hit a convoy in Gazagana village in Yobe State on Saturday. The Nigerian army has officially said that one soldier died. It does, though, tend to give far lower official figures for losses than those reported by eyewitnesses to attacks. Jihadist fighters from the Islamic State West Africa province group are suspected as being behind the raid. Now, a coalition of rebels continue to launch attacks in Central African Republic. 2 attacks, one in the western city of Boa and another near the city of Grimari, were repelled over the weekend. Militants, though, continue to threaten to march on the capital, Bangui. They've been kept away so far by soldiers, UN peacekeepers and reinforcements sent from Russia and Rwanda. The clashes have meant that goods have not been able to move in or out of the capital, leaving hundreds of truckers stranded on their routes. This report by our correspondent in the country.
The road that links Cameroon to Bangui is deserted. Lorry drivers have had to abandon the country's main trading route since rebel forces launched a series of attacks mid-December.
Donc souvent on attache en bas de la remorque s'il plaît, on doit sur ça. C'est notre lit.
Cameroonian lorry driver Amadou Rufai has seen his living conditions deteriorate. His truck, like hundreds of others, is stuck in a depot in Bangui, along with his shipment of wood.
En route, il y a des rebelles en route. On ne connaît pas là où ils vont nous tendre des pièces. Ils peuvent lancer peut-être un coup de fusil, comme ça les balles perdues prennent quelqu'un, donc ce n'est que ça qu'on a peur.
Drivers are afraid, but also can't wait to head home. Unions are trying to help out around 200 truckers who have been trapped in place with no resources.
Quand tu restes stable, est-ce que tu vas avoir quelque chose pour pouvoir nourrir ta famille? On veut que la route soit libérée, comme ça les véhicules vont circuler normalement. Ça, c'est un manque à gagner pour le pays, pour le gouvernement.
In the capital, a lack of food is already taking its toll on the PK5 district, where the capital's biggest food market takes place. Onions have tripled in price, as have other basic products. This is having a huge impact on locals.
On est obligé d'utiliser l'argent qu'on a économisé pour faire le marché avec, mais on ne peut même pas rester comme ça, mourir de faim.
Vendors are also having trouble stocking up. Air shipping is too expensive, but it's the only solution left. Amaro has just received his first delivery in 15 days.
Avant, on vendait ça à 15 000. Maintenant, c'est devenu 45 000 francs. Là, ici.
That's €70 for a kilo of garlic. Food shortages and a rise in prices that show no signs of abating if clashes continue in the country. The government has promised lorries will be escorted by the army from Tuesday.
And finally, Sunday saw thousands of people turn up for the Great Ethiopian Run in Addis Ababa. Thousands turned out for the 10K race, which was in its 20th edition. It was created by Ethiopian running legend Haile Gebrselassie. It saw two close finishes this time, Ethiopians Abiy Gashahun and Tsigi Gebreselema taking the wins in the men's and women's races, respectively, by 1 and 2 seconds. Well, that's it for Eye on Africa. Thanks for joining us. Do so again. Take care.
Keep up to date on the latest from the Middle East. We bring you political, economic, and cultural events from the region in this weekly Middle Eastern program.
Middle East Matters, presented by Sanam Chantier on France 24 and France24.com.
Residents from France's disadvantaged suburbs tell their own stories and take the viewers beyond the usual clichés about the French banlieue.
Sur le plan humain, c'est une expérience de fou en fait.
Les habitants valent beaucoup mieux que ce qu'on en dit.
Tu rends fier ta ville, les gens qui, quand ils me voient dans la rue, me disent je suis fier de toi, je t'ai vu passer à la télé, c'est bien comment t'as parlé, tu nous as bien représenté.
Watch their daily reality in the Banlieue Project on France 24 and France24.com.